Divinely Revealed, 7 Prophetic Insights for Navigating the Miraculous Challenges of 2025. In the quaint town of Stonemoor, where ancient chapels whispered secrets of faith, a powerful light engulfed an unassuming home. The year was 2025, and the air crackled with a divine presence that shook the very foundation of Margaret's heart, a devout mother, well known in her community for her unwavering faith. As she knelt by her children, the world outside trembled with whispers of economic collapse and moral decay. But on that fateful evening, surrounded by family, Margaret felt the veil between the earthly and the divine grow thin. Suddenly, with a jolt, Margaret's spirit soared as a vision unfolded before her eyes, a revelation of 7 prophetic insights. Each one pulsated like a beacon of hope, urging her to guide her community through impending turmoil. She saw families laughing together again, children learning the beauty of giving, and the dark clouds above Stonemoor lifting to reveal brilliant sunlight. Those 7 insights flashed like stars in a heavenly sky, connected by divine strands she could hardly comprehend. This is it, Margaret thought. This is the way for Stonemoor. The very next day, with excitement blooming like spring flowers, she strode into St. Peter's Chapel. The congregation gathered was a mix of eager faces and skeptical frowns, the tension nearly palpable. With earnest conviction, she shared her vision, her voice trembling with purpose. God has spoken. We must be the light in these dark times. But as she spoke, murmurs swirled through the pews like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. Are we to believe this? One man scoffed, casting doubt upon her revelation. Fear rippled through the congregation. What if this was merely a frantic struggle for hope? Families began to divide as they wrestled with their faith. Margaret's heart sank, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her shoulders like an anchor. Yet, just as darkness threatened to swallow hope whole, a new storm emerged. Her beloved son, Thomas, fell gravely ill, his breath sharp and shallow. The community gathered at St. Peter's under the church steeple, hearts heavy but spirits ignited. They prayed fiercely, voices intertwining, calling upon Goddess mercy with fervor like never before. In that powerful moment, something miraculous happened. A warm light enveloped Thomas, washing over him like waves of grace, glistening and divine. As prayers crescendoed, life surged back into him. With wide eyes, Margaret witnessed her son's racking cough ease until he sat upright, perfectly healed. Praise be! Erupted from the lips of astonished congregants. Disbelief replaced by awe. Neighbors hugged and wept, their collective hearts warming as though kindled by an eternal flame. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With renewed faith fanning the embers of belief, the community began to embrace Margaret's prophetic insights, lifting her to newfound heights of respect. But still, deep in her heart, lingered a shadow of doubt about the final insight left unapprehended, a riddle that danced just beyond her reach. As candlelight flickered against the night sky, the town gathered under twinkling stars for a vigil, overflowing with prayers and hope. Yet Margaret's spirit remained restless. What more must she endure before comprehending the breathtaking plan set before her? As the prayers soared like incense, a hushed stillness fell over them. What miracle would unfold next? And would the community choose faith over fear when the next calamity came? The cool night air wrapped around Stonemoor like a comforting blanket, and the townsfolk stood in a huddle, eyes raised to the heavens. Their breaths intertwined in quiet anticipation, a melodic harmony that danced around the steeple, carrying their prayers straight to the heart of God. Margaret felt it too, the charge in the atmosphere, sparking faith and hope. Each prayer is a thread, she whispered under her breath, binding us together, crafting a tapestry of our devotion. She observed her neighbors, some still uncertain, yet others glowing with conviction. Many nodded as she shared her heart, their faces illuminating with understanding. But flickers of doubt remained, casting shadows over their unity. What was the last revelation? She pondered, her mind consumed by the unanswered questions. The others had believed in the first 6 insights with growing fervor. They were ready to embrace change, but the 7th clawed at her spirit, demanding clarity. She could feel it waiting, lingering just out of her grasp as the moon hung low, casting silvery light over the chapel. Margaret's heart thumped loudly. Surely this wasn't merely about her. The 7th insight was meant for the entire town. Gathering her courage, she called out, "Friends, God is not done with us yet. Look at the miracle before your eyes. Can you not see? This is only the beginning." The crowd shifted. Margaret's words resonated, seeking to ignite their dormant spirits. An elderly woman, wrinkled and wise, stepped forward. "Tell us what is still hidden, dear Margaret. We trust in God's will, but we crave the full vision." Margaret paused, looking at the searching faces before her. "What if," she began, her voice steadying, "the final insight involves not just faith but unity? What if God wants us to stand as one, to blend our voices in harmony, not just within these walls but beyond them, into the world?" A hush fell over them as they absorbed her words. A young man, emboldened by her proclamation, stepped into the light. "Then let us take that step together. Let us hold hands in prayer, share our burdens, lift each other higher." Margaret smiled, her heart swelling with recognition. Yes, they were needed. The townsfolk in Stonemoor had the power to be the change. It was not a singular journey but a collective one, woven together by the threads of love and compassion as they linked hands. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves nearby, an eerie sign of a coming storm, a reminder of the turbulence the world faced beyond their little haven. Yet the vision of that united community swirled within her mind, bright and encouraging. "Tomorrow," Margaret declared, "we shall gather to share the vision. We will pray for not just our community but for those who have lost their way. We must reach beyond our fears and speak life into every corner of this town." A murmur of agreement surged through the crowd. "Yes, let us spread hope," someone shouted, a spark ignited. Their voices intertwined like a sacred melody, rising into the night sky as a testament to their shared faith. Yet, like a flickering bulb, doubts intermingled with their resolve. Would they remain united when real turmoil struck again? Could hope sustain them against the storm? Margaret's thoughts lingered, a gentle whisper brushing against her heart. What of the storm? What trials would they face next? And would they have the courage to step into the unknown hand in hand? With that thought, a longing stirred in her soul, an anticipation for the next divine moment that lay ahead. What revelations awaited the town of Stonemoor? Would they grasp the final prophetic insight together? Only time would reveal the truth, and Margaret could only pray they were ready to embrace whatever came. As dawn broke over Stonemoor, a soft golden light filtered through the trees, casting a warm glow upon the earth. The town, still cloaked in the remnants of night, seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. Margaret stood at the chapel steps, heart racing with the weight of expectation. The day had arrived. This gathering would forge their future. Crowds began to trickle toward her, voices mingling in a gentle hum. Friends and strangers found their place beneath the sturdy oak, its branches like arms reaching out to the heavens. There, the air crackled with possibility. Margaret knew they were here not just out of duty, but out of hope. As she looked into the faces around her, she felt a warm rush of love and unity. Each person brought their own stories, burdens, and dreams, and together, they formed a mosaic of shared experience. "Today, we are not just individuals," she proclaimed. "We are a community searching for divine wisdom." A chorus of amenes echoed back at her, encouragement flooding the air. She smiled, praying silently for guidance. Gathering herself, she launched into a vision yet unseen, one that began with memories of their struggles. "We walked through the valleys, friends. We faced the storms. But God has been our compass, leading us through every trial." Margaret's voice rose, infused with passion. What if our greatest challenge lies not in the trials we face, but in the truth we share? This seventh insight, it beckons us to stand firm together, to share light in darkness, and to lift one another when shadows grow long. Suddenly, a voice from the crowd rose, breaking the stillness. But how do we know we're truly ready? How can we guarantee we won't falter? It was the elderly woman again, her eyes searching Margaret, weary, yet watchful, her vulnerability hung heavy in the air. Margaret allowed a moment to pause, recognizing the fears hidden in the collective hearts before her. Belief is not the absence of doubt. She responded fervently. It's the courage to move forward despite it. If God is for us, who can be against us? Every step we take together, we take in faith, each one lifting us closer to clarity. At her words, a deeper silence fell over the group. They were a community of faith, bound not only by shared dreams, but by their willingness to believe in the unseen. Would they, too, be willing to embrace the uncertainty ahead? Let us pray for revelation, she called, lifting her voice. Let each of us seek understanding of this insight. May it be a push toward love, for those in need, and healing for those who are lost. Together they bowed their heads. In that moment, a breeze swept through, swirling and lifting the words of their prayers upward, penetrating the silence of the morning. The chapel bells chimed in the distance, rhythmic and resonant, as if echoing God's own response. Margaret gazed up, eyes glistening with tears of joy and hope. We are not alone, she spoke softly, and the future holds blessings we cannot yet fathom. As the prayers lingered in the air, a thought hit her. Would they recognize divine opportunities when they appeared? Was there a deeper truth waiting to be revealed, one intertwined with their resolve? With hearts open, they were ready for whatever lay ahead. Was it possible that the storm would bring them closer to the heart of God? That challenges would turn into a testament of faith? As the sun climbed higher, igniting the sky, Margaret exchanged glances with her community. There was determination shared in that silent agreement. Whatever would come, they would face it together, standing as one. And so, the next chapter awaited. What revelations would emerge in the unfolding path of faith? What trials would shape them into instruments of God's grace? The answers danced just beyond the horizon, tantalizingly close yet shrouded in divine mystery. As the sun poured its light across the gathering, illuminating every face, an air of expectation thickened with hope. The birds sang their morning symphony, each note a reminder of the Creator's promises. Margaret took a deep breath, feeling that these moments were filled with more than mere words. They were woven together by something divine. Together, let us journey deeper into our faith, she said, voice steady and filled with intent. We stand not only on the edge of tomorrow, but within the embrace of today's grace. This time we unveil the seventh insight, a truth that, once revealed, can change everything. With that, she stepped toward the oak tree, its broad trunk a silent witness to countless events in their lives. This truth, she began, is the understanding that our struggles are not solitary. Each challenge we face is a thread in the tapestry of our community. When we weave our stories together, we find strength, we find purpose. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and Margaret felt encouraged. Eyes were bright, and hearts were open, ready to embrace whatever God had planted within them. She continued, consider the roots of this oak as strong as it stands above the ground. Its real strength lies unseen, deep in the earth, where it is nurtured by shared waters. So too must our faith be rooted in communion, in the shared burdens and joys. In that moment, a child's laughter echoed from the back of the crowd. It was Timmy, his wide eyes reflecting wonder. He waved to Margaret, and she felt warmth flood her heart. See? She smiled. Even the youngest among us feels this connection. Love blossoms where unity exists. Yet, the elderly woman's voice cut through the joyous ambience like a sharp wind. But Margaret, what if our roots are broken? What if we can't stand firm? A hush fell over the crowd, and Margaret sensed the weight of that question hanging in the air. She took a step forward, her heart crying out for wisdom. Ah, Dear friends, this is where faith shines brightest. Even broken branches can bear fruit. God takes our wounds and turns them into pathways for healing. The audience shifted, contemplating, as if scales were falling from their eyes. Margaret felt God moving through her words, igniting a shared spark of hope. A man named Thomas, known for his quiet demeanor, rose to his feet. So, it's not about being perfect in our faith? He questioned, his brow furrowing. It's about moving forward. Together? Yes, Thomas, Margaret exclaimed, her spirit lit with encouragement. It's about the journey, the willingness to trust. Faith isn't about never falling. It's about rising again and reaching out to lift one another. This is precisely where God meets us. The atmosphere shifted, an undercurrent of determination swelled within the gathering. They felt the truth unearthing itself, a wind of clarity sweeping through. Margaret saw the congregation stirring, hearts and minds awakening to shared revelations. Look around, she urged. This is the body of Christ. And when one of us stumbles, those who can bear them up must step in. Together we can weather any storm. As she spoke, an inexplicable peace enveloped the area, binding them in an invisible thread of unity. Tears glistened in eyes as they absorbed this revelation. Each person felt less alone, sensing they were part of something far greater than themselves. In the gentle breeze that danced above them, Margaret felt a holy whisper. Was it a promise? Was it the beginning of a miracle? With the sun shining brightly, illuminating the path ahead, she knew they were on the threshold of something profound. The next steps loomed before them like a light breaking through darkness, yet laden with uncertainty. Are we ready to embrace this journey? She asked, raising her hands towards heaven. And as they responded with a resounding yes, the energy of their faith vibrated through the air, filling Stonemoor as never before. What awaited them on this path? What divine challenges would entwine their destinies even further? The answers hid just beyond their grasp, glistening like dew on a new dawn, as the echoes of their resolute yes faded into the gentle rustling of the leaves. A palpable energy enveloped the crowd, pulling them closer together. The air thickened with anticipation. It was as if each heart beat in unison to the rhythm of a new possibility. Margaret looked around, meeting the eyes of her friends and neighbors, each face a reflection of the warmth ignited in that moment. Let us not be afraid, dear ones, she continued, her voice growing softer yet filled with boldness. For the journey ahead may reveal challenges, but these challenges are our stepping stones toward growth and deeper understanding. A wave of agreement coursed through the gathering, hearts swelling with hope. Mary, a kind woman with a gentle spirit, raised her hand. Margaret, what do we do when shadows creep into our paths? Her voice carried a tremor of worry, yet within it was the almost whisper of faith. Ah, Mary, Margaret responded, this is where we lean into one another. Remember, it is often through the darkest valleys that we find the brightest lights. Even a match in a dark room can dispel all darkness. The truth of her words lingered in the air, giving space for contemplation. The crowd fell silent, allowing the gravity of shared experiences to settle deeply within their hearts. I think of the moments where I felt lost, Mary confessed, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Those moments, were they pointless? Not at all, Margaret reassured her. Those moments shape us. They are lessons, ways in which God cultivates our spirits. Think of the butterfly in its cocoon, painful, even suffocating, yet necessary for transformation. A collective sigh rippled through the assembly, resonating with a collective acknowledgement of their individual struggles. The sun danced higher in the sky, its rays now capturing shades of gold that bathed everyone in warmth. Yes, we are like children learning to run, falling and getting up again, Thomas cried out, his earlier uncertainty replaced with newfound confidence. The joy in his voice coaxed smiles and laughter from his companions, affirming the powerful truths revealed between them. Margaret's heart fluttered at this renewed spirit. Exactly, Thomas. Together, through every stumble and rise, we can soar. We carry one another, gliding through each trial as companions on this journey of faith. As they leaned into this shared vision, A distant rumble of thunder echoed in the background, a stark reminder of nature's might. Yet, rather than panic, there was an air of comfort among them. "We weather storms," Margaret declared, "not as individuals, but as a mighty community. Nothing can break us when united in Christ." Just as she spoke those words, a break in the clouds revealed a brilliant sunbeam, piercing through darkness above. And there she pointed toward the light, is the promise of hope. Look, even in uncertainty, God shows us that a way will always be made. A serene hush enveloped them as they absorbed the sacred promise of connection and hope. Margaret felt something stirring within her, a whisper of clarity. What awaited them was indeed veiled in divine mystery. "Next, we'll uncover our eighth insight," she said, her heart racing with excitement. "Are we ready to peel back the layers and discover more?" The resounding agreement was like a sweet symphony, each voice lifted in eager expectation. But what revelation would await them next? What series of divine encounters would bring them further along their path of purpose? The flicker of something extraordinary danced in the air, beckoning them closer. Even as every shadow loomed, light awaited to illuminate the way ahead. Margaret took a deep breath, feeling the sacred energy pulsating around her. She could feel that the time for revelation was close. "Let us gather our hearts," she urged, "and turn our thoughts toward what God wishes to reveal next." With joined hands, they formed a circle beneath the broad canopy of ancient trees. Each face was lit with hopeful anticipation, some full of wisdom, others youthful and eager. It was a beautiful tapestry woven by shared faith. As the wind danced through the leaves, it seemed to carry whispers of divine intention. Margaret closed her eyes. "Father, guide us. Let your will unfold within our midst," she prayed, her voice a humble echo in the quiet. The low rumble of thunder rolled closer, merging with the heartbeat of the community. They opened their eyes, and Margaret felt a warm glow in her heart, as if an unseen hand was cradling her spirit. "Today," she began again, her tone firm but gentle, "we seek the eighth insight. What guides us in trial? What light shines brightest when everything seems dim?" There was a moment of silence, filled only by the gentle rustling of nature around them. Then, just as she sensed an answer stirring, Mary spoke. "Perhaps it's in our vulnerability? When we are most open, we let God's hand shape us to trust Him fully." "Indeed," exclaimed Margaret, her heart swelling. "Vulnerability is where we meet God and where God meets us. It's in admitting our weaknesses that we discover our strength resides not in ourselves, but in Him." The crowd nodded in agreement, a few murmuring heartfelt affirmations. They were awakening to the power of surrender, realizing that faith often blossomed amidst fragility. "Think about it," Margaret continued, her voice rising with inspiration. "In our trials, we may feel stretched like that butterfly, yet God uses every struggle to deepen our trust. This is the crucible of transformation." A few faces reflected understanding and recognition. Thomas's voice cut through the air again, filled with awe. "So, vulnerability isn't our downfall, then, is a pathway to an encounter with our Creator." "Yes, Thomas. Each moment of surrender is a step deeper into His grace. Every tear, every challenge, is wrapped in His presence," Margaret declared, her heartbeat thrumming with excitement. Suddenly, the sun peeked through the clouds again. The golden rays illuminated them all like a divine spotlight. Margaret pointed to the sky, now a brilliant canvas of light. "Here is our reminder," she exclaimed. "God is with us. Even the storms of doubt can't overshadow His glory." As they absorbed this moment, a shiver of divine electricity flowed through the group. Hands raised in worship, they felt buoyed up by a wave of praise. Joy spread like wildfire, filling hearts and uniting them in a holy chorus. In the midst of their celebration, an unexpected thought bubbled up within Margaret. What if the next layers we reveal aren't just insights but deeper connections among us? What if God is calling us to bring our stories together, to weave them into a larger tapestry of faith? That question hung in the air, ripe with potential. Margaret sensed an extraordinary shift in the atmosphere, an undercurrent of excitement and expectation. What stories and experiences can we share that might enrich one another? She pondered aloud, eyes sparkling with inspiration. The congregation murmured amongst themselves, energy swirling like a vibrant melody. Could their vulnerabilities and experiences weave a greater understanding, a stronger bond amidst trials? What awaits us as we open up our lives to one another? A new mystery floated above them, a divine invitation lingering like a gentle breeze. And at that moment, as they stood on the cusp of discovery, the world around them seemed to hold its breath. What depths would they unearth in the next revelation? As the whispers of expectation swirled around them, Margaret felt an irresistible tug on her spirit. The air sparkled with possibility, and she sensed that God was setting the stage for something profound. Each heart present in the circle was a canvas, waiting for the brushstrokes of divine stories to color their fellowship. Now is the time, she declared, her voice ringing with passion. Let us share. Each experience, no matter how small, holds the potential to shine light upon one another's lives. In our open sharing, we will find hope woven together. A quiet enthusiasm sparked, igniting the souls gathered under the trees. One by one, they began to share their stories, their struggles, their fears, and the moments when they felt utterly without strength. Mary was the first to speak again, her voice steady but soft. I remember the year I lost my job. I felt like everything was falling apart. Yet, in my darkest days, I found support from friends here. God transformed that loss into new beginnings in ways I never could have imagined. The group leaned in close, their faces painted with empathy. Another voice chimed in, that of young David, new to their circle but filled with a heartfelt burden. I'm still in the middle of my storms. Each wave that crashes over me feels like it could drown me. But hearing Mary's story helps me see that others have risen in faith. Maybe I can too. As they listened, Margaret could feel the weight of their collective vulnerability acting like a sacred thread, drawing them closer. It was as if they collectively bore the weight of hopes and dreams, struggles and triumphs, fusing them into a singular narrative of faith. God is in the intricacies of our lives, Margaret exclaimed, encouraged by the spirit of sharing. In our stories, he breathes truth. Our experiences are not just ours, they're pieces of his larger plan. What if sharing these moments opens channels of healing among us? What if our stories are sipping from the same wellspring of grace? The crowd buzzed at this, and Margaret felt a rush of spirit-filled energy. Just then, Thomas stood up, his face aglow. What if we prayed for each other, sharing the burden that can so heavily weigh us down? Each prayer could be like a stone thrown into a pond, sending ripples of peace and strength throughout our community. Oh yes, several voices echoed, a melody of agreement. Margaret raised her hands, inviting them into a cocoon of prayer. Let us take a moment, each person lift up their need, and we'll cover them in love and prayer. Bowls of silence filled their space as each heart bared themselves to God and to one another, lifting whispers and cries to the heavens. Some shed tears, others exchanged supportive glances, binding them further in a web of compassion that felt tangible. After a moment of stillness, Margaret sensed the shift in the atmosphere. An energy enveloped them, wrapping their hearts in warmth like a soft blanket. You see, she said with excitement brightening her eyes. This connection, this divine companionship, it's right here. God is weaving our stories. Suddenly, a stirring breeze rustled the leaves above them, creating a soft symphony that seemed to echo their prayers. But as the moment of shared vulnerability pivoted toward deeper energy, Margaret floated an idea that hung in the air like incense. What if, by sharing our stories, we find God's purpose for our future? What if the stories we weave here guide decisions yet to come? As her words echoed, the group felt a collective shift. They understood now that their individual narratives could carry the weight of greater understanding and purpose. Margaret glanced around at the faces, glowing with inspiration, and smiled knowingly. So, what revelations await us next? What is the divine calling hidden within our stories, waiting to emerge? The murmurs of curiosity stirred once more, like seeds preparing to blossom into moments of grace. The group settled back into a comfortable silence, the air thick with anticipation. Margaret could see the flicker of hope in each one's eyes, an inkling of a promise unfolding within them. They were ready, awaiting the touch of the divine. A sacred revelation waiting to unveil itself as the breeze whispered through the trees. Margaret continued, "Let us take a moment to listen for what the Lord is saying to each of us. Perhaps within that silence, answers will emerge." They closed their eyes, the world narrowing to the cadence of their hearts beating as one. The birds paused, sensing the change in atmosphere, creating a hush that felt otherworldly. The only sound was the soft rustle of leaves above, harmonizing with the whispers of their souls reaching for heaven. After a while, Jennifer, who had been quiet throughout, opened her eyes. I felt a gentle nudge, like a soft hand on my shoulder reminding me of a dream I once had, the vision of a garden. In it, seeds were sprouting, and blossoms were bursting open. I think God wants me to tend to something I've neglected. Margaret's heart leapt at Jennifer's revelation. That's beautiful, Jennifer. Maybe it's a call to nurture parts of your life where you felt barren. What do the others feel? A flicker of inspiration ignited in David, the shy newcomer. I could see colors, bright colors swirling around me. It felt joyous, like God is inviting me to create something new. I'm not sure what yet, but I feel it in my bones. Yes, that's it. Thomas nodded, enthusiasm building. Let it emerge, whatever it is. Those colors might be the dreams or talents just waiting to be shared. The collective energy shifted again, voices intertwining as others began to share their senses of direction. One felt called to reach out to a neighbor. Another envisioned a ministry for the youth, and yet another sensed the need to heal old wounds. Margaret, deeply moved, raised her arms gently in a gesture of praise. This is it. This is the moment we've sought. God is revealing His purpose through our vulnerability and openness. These are not just ideas. They are seeds of divine directives meant to grow. A wave of excitement rippled through the circle. They felt something stir within them, a spiritual urgency, recognizing each thought shared was part of their collective mission. Suddenly, as if on cue, the sunlight pierced through the canopy, casting shimmering rays across their circle. It was as if heaven had opened, bathing them in a golden glow. The effect sent tingling sensations down their spines. Their spirits lifted in collective awe. "Can you see it?" Margaret asked, her voice taking on an echo of reverence. "God is shining His light upon us. It's a confirmation, a divine wink. Each story shared tonight is a step closer to discovering our calling. What is still waiting to blossom?" Tears glistened in the eyes of many, hearts swelling as hope spread like wildfire. Margaret could sense that invisible thread binding them even tighter, a shared purpose stitching into the fabric of their fellowship. As they sat in the glow, side by side in prayerful reflection, a profound tranquility settled over them. It was in this space between their stories and the impending revelations that they felt truly alive. But in her heart, Margaret wondered, what might God be preparing to unveil in their lives if they dared to step further into this divine dance? Would they rise as they were called, or let fear hold them back? In that sacred mystery, anticipation brewed. There was more to come, and the possibilities seemed endless. The golden glow began to fade, replaced by the soft twilight that draped itself like a comforting blanket over the gathering. In that moment of silence, the heartbeats synced again. It was as if the pulse of nature flowed through them all, bringing a sense of unity. This sacred space had transformed them, stirring something deep within. Margaret opened her eyes slowly, feeling compelled to lead them further, deeper into this moment. Let us not just embrace these revelations. Let us commit to them. Let us declare what we intend to do with these nudges of the Spirit. A wave of murmurs washed over the group as they considered her words. One by one, hands rose with tentative excitement. "I want to reach out to my neighbor, the one who has been struggling," Sarah said, her voice gaining strength. "I feel God calling me to be a friend." "Me too," chimed in Lucas, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "I want to set up a meeting for our youth. They need a safe space to talk." Margaret grinned widely, embracing the energy that surrounded them. "Yes, yes, yes. Each of us has a light to shine, to illuminate the path for others. These commitments are how we tend to the seeds we recognize tonight. As they shared their intentions, something remarkable happened. With every declaration made, a warmth radiated within their hearts, igniting a collective fervor. They began to verbalize visions that only moments earlier had been thoughts unspoken. Each contribution fed the flame growing in their spirits. They journeyed through their dreams together, like flowers lifting their heads to the morning sun. There was talk of community gardens, mentorship programs for the lost, support groups for the brokenhearted. Each idea was a unique petal in their blooming garden of faith. Feeling moved, Jennifer began to share more about her vision. This garden I saw, it wasn't just mine. Felt like a garden for all of us. Goddess calling us to come together, to plant and cultivate something beautiful here. Thomas nodded, excitement swelling in his voice. Can you picture it? A community event where we share our gifts, our talents. A festival of faith. We could draw others in, people who feel they have nothing, but truly have so much to offer. Margaret felt the tears prick at her eyes. You all are speaking dreams into being. She took a breath, steadying herself as the emotion threatened to overflow. Let us create a vision board, right here and now in each of our hearts. What do we want this garden to look like? They fell into a delightful hush, visualizing the connections they would make, the lives they would touch. A hushed anticipation filled the air, underlining the importance of what had been birthed in their midst. Then, a gentle wind rustled the branches overhead, a whispering reminder of the divine presence swirling around them. Margaret felt a deep sense of awe. She understood now that the whispers weren't just for them alone. They were meant to ripple outward, reaching far beyond their circle. As they sat in that sacred moment of anticipation and possibility, the question hung in the air. What was God preparing for them beyond this gathering? Would they trace out his vision with bold strokes, or would they hesitate? The evening sky painted itself in hues of violet, as if reflecting their emotional landscape. And as they looked out toward the horizon, they couldn't help but wonder what the dawn would bring. Would they gather all these seeds they had planted? With hearts beating in eager expectation, they braced themselves for the journey ahead. The moment of divine intervention beckoned, and the next chapter awaited their steps into the unknown. The dawn of a new day broke over Stonemoor, bathing the town in a soft, golden light that seemed to promise fresh beginnings. As the sun kissed the dew-laden grass, Margaret stood at the edge of St. Peter's Chapel, heart racing with anticipation. The community had rallied, united by the dreams they'd nurtured through evenings of prayer and sharing. Margaret could feel the pulse of something extraordinary warming the very air around her. She had issued an invitation for today, a call to action that resonated in the hearts of those who had witnessed the transformation of their own faith. Today is the day, Margaret declared as she stepped into the chapel, her voice steady and filled with purpose. Today we rise as a manifestation of God's promise. Inside, the people gathered, faces illuminated with hope and excitement. Every heart was a vessel filled with the stories they had shared under the oak tree. Each person carried the beauty of their vulnerabilities, and they were ready to step out together to serve, heal, and share the light they had cultivated. Margaret looked around at their familiar faces, the laughter of Timmy, the strength of Thomas, the gentle resolve of Mary. There was a power here, a palpable energy woven from the threads of their shared experiences. Let this be the beginning of our communal garden, she exclaimed, the joy in her heart bursting forth. Just as the oak tree stands tall and rooted, let our faith be deepened as we pour into one another. From our diverse stories, God will create a tapestry of transformation. The gathered community murmured in agreement. A chorus of amens filled the chapel. Each voice shared that same flickering hope that had ignited each revelation. The elderly woman who had once questioned Margaret's revelations rose slowly, her hands trembling with age but her spirit aflame. Margaret, she said softly, I felt your conviction that day, and now I trust it even more. Let us set forth our intentions and trust God to guide each step. With that, Margaret and the community began to share their bold visions. Let us host a community festival, Thomas urged, his eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. A day of joy, laughter, and connection. God wants to gather us all, and even those who strayed. Yes, Mary added, her voice rising. We can set up booths where we can share food and stories. We'll share our gifts of hope with the whole town. A blessing booth, Timmy shouted, his innocence shining brightly, as he jumped up and down. We can pray for people. Every idea ignited excitement among the crowd. Each vision they cast was buoyed by belief and joy, creating a ripple of purpose that coursed through Stonemoor. Brothers and sisters, Margaret called, her heart racing. We stand on hallowed ground. Our stories and dreams are seeds. Let us plant them. Let us nurture every seed so it can grow into blessings. With that proclamation, the air thickened electric with divine purpose. Each person connected with that moment, sensing that something ethereal and powerful was taking root not just within them, but also in the soul of the town. Days became weeks as they labored in love, planting seeds in community gardens, setting up prayer meetings under the gazebo, and pulling together resources to support families in need. Laughter danced through the streets of Stonemoor as people united, swapping meals, and sharing their stories. They transformed every corner into expressions of goddess grace, and a palpable energy connected every heart as the festival day approached. Margaret stood gazing out at the town, overwhelmed with gratitude. The same chapel that had once echoed with doubts now sparkled with joy, the sound of shared laughter ringing in her ears. She held her children close, breathing in the essence of what they had created together, love woven through the fabric of their community, infused with divine purpose. When the festival day finally dawned, the sky blazed like a promise. People spilled out of their homes, eager to gather and celebrate. Stonemoor bloomed with vibrancy, booths adorned with flowers, laughter ringing out like music, and prayers shared beneath the oak tree that had borne witness to their transformation. As Margaret stepped onto a small stage to address the crowd, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace and fulfillment. "Look at us," she began, her voice strong. "We have come together boldly, forging a new path rooted in love and faith. Together, we are no longer just a collection of individuals. We are the embodiment of Goddess love. This is our moment of divine glory, the manifestation of hope." Even the skeptics from before nodded. Smiles spread across their faces. The doubts had been washed away in the current of shared stories and experiences. They witnessed the growth of an unbreakable spirit as unity triumphed over fear. Margaret paused as the sun set in brilliant hues, casting a warm light over them all. "This is just the beginning, my friends. Let our journey continue. Our bonds deepen as we encounter life's challenges together. We were made for more than mere existence. We were crafted for community, to reflect Goddess glory." As cheers erupted, Margaret felt the weight of the divine blessing over them all. The festival was not just a celebration. It was the start of their collective journey, echoing through future generations. They had awakened something deep within their souls, a promise that resounded across the heavens. "Let us carry this light forward. Let us remain steadfast," she proclaimed. "This is our calling to serve and share the profound love God has wrapped around us." And in that moment, amidst the joyful noises and sacred unity, Margaret understood they were aligned with Goddess' mission. The spirit of Stonemoor had awakened, and they were poised to change the world, one story at a time. Now, dear friends, if you felt the power in this journey with us, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show the world the light we carry. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending below. Share how this faith journey impacted you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us spread the light.